Hi, Martin Warwick here. I'm at the Small Cells World Summit 2014 in London's Docklands, and I'm talking with Stuart Carlaw, Chief Research Officer with ABI Research. So, what's the business case for carrier Wi-Fi?
I would say that there's two schools of thought regarding this. The first school of thought is that it's really about offload for mobile networks. So if you look at traditional carrier business models, it's about taking all that traffic that's generated from video, from person to person, whatever, and throwing that onto a lower cost spectrum resource, that being kind of the Wi-Fi spectrum. And the second business model revolves around value-added services. So if you think about a building owner, such as the XL we're in now, saying I need coverage within my building, and by providing that coverage, you can then layer in new services. You can have location as part of that service offering, enabling the business owner to understand where the people are within this building. You can offer advertising, you can offer couponing, all that sort of thing that comes from being able to provide better connectivity to people within a building or within a set location. I think that's the most interesting value-added stream moving forward.
So how's Wi-Fi being used by telcos, especially alongside small cells?
That's another interesting question, because I think the market is still feeling out this relationship. There's no set in stone way and every carrier is approaching this in different ways. So for example, if you look at B-Sky-B, they're not really using licensed small cells today. They're using carrier Wi-Fi as a macro wide area coverage model, as well as kind of in-building. Where you look at EE is using its macro coverage from its macro cells and its cellular deployment, and using infill from small cells for its wide area coverage, and it's focusing its carrier Wi-Fi solutions on the in-building environment. So they'll be focusing it on say, like a train station, a venue such as the XL. So there's very differing business models, and we're still yet to see how this is going to shake out. My guess is the fact that there's very little that a small cell is going to offer that's going to beat a carrier Wi-Fi solution in the in-building, but what it can do is complement it. So what you'll start seeing is mixed deployments in the future. You'll have small cells and carrier Wi-Fi supporting traffic within buildings and also in the metro environment.
How can Wi-Fi be used, do you think, to drive new revenue channels?
I kind of alluded that in my last question when I talked about kind of the different business models from different carriers. But there's two different sides of the story. We have the incumbent carriers and we have new entrants. Our hunch is that there's going to be a wave of new entrants that are going to be entering kind of the broad area wireless services market that are going to come from a Wi-Fi centric standpoint. And that for them, generating revenues is about providing that wide area coverage. So that's kind of a connectivity based model. But in reality, it's those value added services for the rest of the kind of the environment that's actually going to create that revenue stream. And I think location and presence is key on that. So if you look in the retail space, it's about allowing retailers to understand where people are within the store. And you can couple that with big data and analytics on the back end to see what they're looking at, what their purchase history is like. And you can even put that into your stock and kind of a management solution where you can make sure that your supply chain is aware of kind of what we're seeing from a run rate in stores. So there's a number of different opportunities here. It's really about carriers getting in a position to basically bundle these with best of breed partners and really go after specific verticals.
And how can carrier Wi-Fi be used to leverage the mobile roaming experience?
Again, this is another interesting area when we look at the carrier Wi-Fi business model. I think we were talking to B-Sky-B or EE yesterday on the panel I run, where one of them was saying that they're beginning to establish a relationship with a major multinational bank where they can allow their employees, when they roam into the UK, for example, to be able to go onto B-Sky-P's or EE's Wi-Fi network. And also you can look at things like Telecom Indonesia are doing, whereby if you're in a hotel, you sign onto the hotel Wi-Fi and buy one of their packages that then can be applied to your wide area coverage as well. So I think what we're seeing is the breakdown of geographic relation in terms of access to Wi-Fi coverage. And I think that's the interesting part of it, because when you look at people's behavior, majority of traffic that we are either generating or consuming or interacting with is data centric, and that can be supported on Wi-Fi just as much as it can be on cellular, as long as there's coverage. And I think what we begin to see now is Wi-Fi carriers waking up to the opportunity that provides them in breaking down some of these interesting roaming arrangements, and also kind of bypass some of the heavy legislation we're seeing from Nelly Cruz and kind of the EU on the kind of the termination fees allowed for international roaming.
Finally, how's the technology for carrier Wi-Fi being developed and improved?
Okay, I mean, there's the Wireless Broadband Association, huge amounts of innovation here in terms of them standardizing and pushing through next generation of wireless solutions. So Hotspot 2.0 is kind of one of the big things that we see moving down the channel here, but also probably less kind of futuristic, but the wide-scale rollout of AC across multiple different locations provides you much more capacity and throughput. And I think those things are incredibly important for providing better quality of service and user experience. So in essence, what we're seeing from there is base technology improvements from the kind of Wi-Fi community, but in what we could be seeing in the future, which is kind of really interesting, is the convergence between carrier Wi-Fi and small cells. We see a single management entity, a single control function to allow you to roam between the two much more efficiently, and also the ability to plug back into the carrier's network much more effectively. Therefore, you can get dynamic services being offered across both your unlicensed and licensed spectrum to get the best of both worlds.
Stuart Carlaw, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time.